Believe we're live. Let me have a quick little check, make sure I'm appearing on the screen, and I am. So welcome. We're going to have a exploration of leaning into the flinch. So if you jump on live, come and say hello. Let me know if you agree with me, or even if you disagree with me. That's okay as well. And if you're watching the replay, please leave a hashtag replay. So leaning into the flinch. Now, my experience, many people want to move towards something new in their life, some kind of new experience, whether that's financial, whether that's in a job, whether that's in a relationship, whether that's in a physical pursuit, you name it, moving towards something new. And commonly what happens for people is as they move towards something new, they meet this resistance edge, which we could call the flinch point. And the problem is what tends to happen is as soon as that flinch point is met, what happens is people pull back and they return back to their sort of zone of experience that they're familiar with. And can you see the problem in that? Okay, if you don't lean into it, if you don't start to explore it, unfortunately, what tends to happen is your experience is going to stay as it is. So there's different ways that we can explore this, that we can go about this. Now, a lot of mindset coaches that I've met and spoken to is very cerebral, which is fine if you like having conversations about this stuff. But if you actually want to explore it in real time, in real life, you've got to make it so it isn't just in your head. So I always think that the body can be a really useful starting point for many people, because how you respond to feedback from the body, how you react to sensations is all a part of it. It isn't just about, the thoughts that are there, although that's important as well, but we'll get to that. I want to start by looking at your physical experience. So for me, I'm, as you know, a big advocate of yoga practice. It doesn't have to be done through a yoga practice, but because yoga requires that you're much more aware of what you're doing with your body, it tends to allow us to explore these things a little bit more deeply than certain other styles of exercise. So we move into positions that reveal a level of kind of discomfort or tightness, and we get to explore, okay, can I be with this? Can I explore this as opposed to just avoid it? Now that for me, although it's a physical experience, it's a physical exploration, it's a highly transferable skill. If we can learn to explore, test, move into bit by bit an experience that we would have pulled back from, we get to gradually move into that flinch area, move into test that area that we would usually resist. So this is a highly transferable skill. Cold showers are another way to do that. It's not going to give you the range of motion and strength and mobility, but it gives you that testing. Okay, can I relax into something that usually I would tighten against or try and avoid? Okay, so these are some ways to look at it from a physical perspective, but it isn't just a physical thing. Although for many, I think this is a great starting point. We also have to look at it from a mental and emotional perspective as well. Think of in your relationships, interactions with friends, family, people you don't even know, perhaps. There's a common kind of resistance edge where we're willing to go to in conversations. When we get offended, all this kind of stuff, we have these zones where we're like, I don't want to go into that. And unfortunately, that results in, again, we're kind of putting a sort of defining boundary on our experience. And I know people talk about the importance of defining a boundary, and I'm not saying that that's not relevant. I think it's true, but your boundary is always going to be the limit to your experience as well. So you have to ask yourself the question, how much do you want to explore this stuff? Do you want to explore it to the point you're like, okay, I'm comfortable with that? Or can you see life as like, oh, I can just keep exploring what's possible? And then we come to this more cerebral part of it. So your actual core beliefs. Your core beliefs are always going to define where you're willing to go to in those other spaces. But for me, we can't just focus on one of them. I've met a lot of people who have read so many self-help books. They're filled with knowledge and words, all about that cerebral stuff. But when it comes to actual physical pursuits or taking it into life, they're a bit stuck. I've met people that are great with physicality, but struggle with communication, struggle with dealing with their feelings. So all of these spaces have to be looked at and addressed. And it's the same process with all of them. It's a simple case of just moving bit by bit into that area of flinch, into that area that we would usually pull back from. So the process itself is actually incredibly simple. There may be some kind of a bit of digging, a bit of complexity on the way, but the process itself is actually really simple. Notice that point in which you pull back, in which you're sort of like, ooh, I can't move into this. That will bring you an awareness of where your flinch point is. Next point, it's just testing that. And gradually what you'll find is the point at which you flinch keeps expanding outwards. And that is what gives the space for us to explore our own potential. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.